Hey guys, Mike here from RapidPurple.com. Just kind of wanted to take the time and put together a quick little video for you guys to talk a little bit about e-commerce. Over the course of the past years or so that I've been working with different clients and developing various e-commerce sites, I kind of have noticed a little bit of a pattern of certain things that get overlooked by most people that just get very excited about e-commerce in the first place. So initially, the thought process that most people tend to have is, I have my awesome, phenomenal product over here, and I'm going to put it on my website, and millions of people are going to look at it, and they're all going to buy it, and my inbox will be filled with please ship this to this, and I'm going to take my awesome product, I'm going to put it in boxes, and I'm going to put it into the USPS Dropbox, and then I'll have lots of money in my bank account and I'll be rich. So, sounds like a great concept, right? And pretty much that is what the concept is, minus a lot of other little tiny things that turn out to be quite the pain in the ass later on down the line. So, initially, you obviously need an e-commerce website, right? So this is going to be a little bit different than your average website, because this is going to be something where people can sign up to it so they can have their own profile, so they can track their past orders, so they can update their shipping and their billing informations, keep more than one cart on file, whatever the case is. B, people need to be able to now add items to their cart onto your website. There has to be a shopping cart, there has to be a checkout process on your website. Chances are you're not going to go off and build each one of these things from scratch, because there are just so many existing plugins and ways to go about doing this. You'd kind of be reinventing the wheel there. So let's say you do go off of something like WordPress with WooCommerce, OpenCart, Magento on a significantly higher budget, maybe, Xcart, CubeCart, any one of those things, right? You have to have that obviously installed and configured for yourself. You need to have your website and your theme and your design built for that specific solution. So that's kind of your first and your initial hurdle. That hurdle will, obviously cost more than your simple standard HTML website. So you have that little price hurdle associated with that. Now let's say you got over that and everything's fine. You got your website, your guys are building it out, things are going beautifully. Now you need to actually process the orders on your website. Let's say you have a retail storefront location. Chances are you accept credit cards in it. If not, please do. It's 2014. Just kind of a personal pet peeve there. I can't stand walking around with cash on me. It's so much simpler to just use a card everywhere. And I still walk into, we're about to be in 2015 in just a matter of a couple of days, and I'm still walking into places they go, no, I don't take credit card. So personal pet peeve there. If you don't take credit card and you have a retail storefront, please take credit card. It's not difficult. It really doesn't cost as much as you think it does. If you've been burned by it before, I totally get it. Merchant Services has a bunch of things to it and 8,000,001 fees that you need to look at in every single possible statement. But believe me, there are good companies out there. You can find them. If you'd like some recommendations, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll give you some. Anyway, that said, let's say you have this retail storefront location. You accept credit cards at your retail storefront location. Perfect. Chances are that you can call your merchant service provider and tell them, listen, I'm building an e-commerce website. I would also like to accept credit cards on my e-commerce website. Chances are your merchant service provider is a reseller with Authorized.net, and they'll turn around and get you an Authorized.net account, which could then be easily configured into WordPress with WooCommerce, OpenCart, Magento, CubeCart, Xcart, pretty much anything else. It's kind of the standard of that or PayPal, which then is your second option. You can always turn around and set up a PayPal business account for yourself, configure that with your e-commerce script or software that you ended up using, and go ahead and use that. Perfect. Now, quick little thing that I will mention about using your existing merchant service provider to also do your e-commerce transactions. When you initially sign your merchant service account, chances are for your retail storefront location, you were set up as 100% retail business, or 100% in person. or maybe 75% in person, 25% keyed in. you'll end up paying significantly cheaper rates if you keep your retail storefront location as it is on that original contract and merely sign a second contract with your existing merchant service provider or with a new one or somewhere else for your e-commerce storefront. One will have your internet rates, which will be higher than your retail storefront rates because the person's obviously not physically there to hand you a card and his identification. So there's a little bit more risk associated with it, but you'll keep your store fees significantly cheaper because they will not be mixed in with e-commerce fees now, causing your overall rate to be higher. So just a quick kind of tip there. So you got your website set up, you got your merchant account set up, you got it configured with your website. Now you have to be PCI compliant, and you also have to essentially develop trust with your customers and with your online shoppers. Nobody wants to type in their credit card information on a non-secure website. Hell, these days people have a hard enough time typing it in on a secure website. And we're having secure websites hacked left and right now, and tons of information that's being stored getting, unfortunately, into the wrong hands. So with that in mind, you need to have an SSL certificate on your website, at least for the order form and the order process and any forms or pages where users are typing in any real confidential or personal information. So now you go off, you buy your SSL certificate, and I mean, you can get them from anything as low as $10 for the year to paying a couple $100 for the year if you want a wild card one with just a very high warranty amount on it. Hopefully by 2016 we'll be able to get free SSL certificates. I wrote a brief post about that about a month back or so. There's a couple of great companies kind of spearheading that, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. In the meantime, you'll go out, you'll spend some additional money, you'll get yourself an SSL certificate, then you'll have that configured with your server, and then have your website set up to properly function with an SSL certificate on it and with HTTPS connections instead of HTTP. Now, once you got all of that set up, notice we still haven't gotten to the part of actually selling, making money, and being rich, right? So we got all of that set up. Now, our website's up, it's done, it's beautiful, we love it. Now we have to actually take our awesome products and we have to list them online. Okay, little bit of a learning curve here, obviously. Whatever platform you ended up going with is going to have their own kind of input process and their own data entry form. So a little bit of a learning curve there as you get the hang of it. If you're using, WooCommerce again, and I keep coming back to it just because it's kind of very popular. So let's say you're using WooCommerce, and you have to really set up a lot of variations for each one of your products, so forth and so on. Obviously, some bit of a learning curve there. I'm more than sure that whichever company you ended up working with to build out your e-commerce website will be more than happy to sit down to train you on that. If they didn't, probably shouldn't work with them again. And I'd be more than happy to give you some free training. Shoot me an email, I'll help you out the best that I can. I'm sorry you got into that situation. Anyway, so bit of a learning curve. You got over that, that learning curve. You're now inputting all your products. Let's say that you have a couple hundred products, and you also have a couple of variations, be it colors or materials, per each product. So you're spending, at least a couple of days, maybe a week or so, having somebody sit down, or you yourself, one of your staff members, input each one of these products, add the appropriate SKU numbers, the stock for them, the prices, the weight and the dimension for the packaging so that the shipping can be appropriately configured and set up and the right costs are displayed. So, a couple more things that we have to do before we get rich, right? So we got all of our items in there, we've got all these things set up, we've knocked out all of that. Now, we have all these different variations and all these different products, and people obviously need to see what these items are before they buy them. So now we need to have a picture of each one of these. Okay, if you have a retail storefront location, you probably don't have professional photos of each one of your products because you just had no need for that at any given point. So now you got to go out and you do a photo shoot. A couple ways to go about this. One, you can try to do these pictures yourself. it will be visible on the site that these pictures were done yourself, which obviously gives a little bit of a stand to, how people feel about purchasing things. Now, if you're selling pens for a couple cents a pen, I doubt anybody will really mind if you go ahead and put these down on your desk, take a picture with your iPhone, and use that. If you're selling watches, I don't think anybody's going to be buying a couple $1,000 watch from you if you laid it down on your desk and took a picture with your iPhone and put it up on your website. So factor that in that way. Personally, I always think it's worth the money to go and have a professional pictures done. They'll be done on a common kind of backdrop. The lighting for them all will be the same. The backdrop for them all will be the same. It'll just look that much more professional. And of course, you'll have them in a much higher resolution than you'll ever get off your iPhone. So you'll really be able to let people zoom in on items if they need to, provided that you really need to show, that much of an attention to detail. So you go out, you do your photos, you update each one of your products with each one of the appropriate photos. Now you're finally ready. Now your website is finally ready. And you put it online. And then you realize you have to drive traffic to it. See, nothing's that easy, right? So now you have to figure out how you're going to market your site, how you're going to advertise it. What budget are you going to set aside for pay-per-click ads? Who's going to sit there and monitor the pay-per-click ads? Who's going to take care of making sure that your conversion rates are really up there and up to par with what you need them to be, and that your profits are really coming in as opposed to how much you're spending on the pay-per-click ad campaigns or any other marketing or advertising campaigns that are being done. Once you have all of that more or less figured out, you're on your way to having a functioning and running e-commerce website. So definitely, probably a little bit more than you originally thought was going to be involved in this e-commerce site. If you planned all of this out originally and I just completely wasted 15 minutes of your time, honestly, just good for you. A, thanks for watching. B, it's awesome that you had all this, planned out from the get-go. For anybody that didn't, this should definitely give you a couple of ideas on the key things, I'd say, that are involved in getting your e-commerce site up and going. There's definitely things we haven't touched base really upon in this video. There's getting your product sitemap up and submitting that over to Google, and then there's product ads and so forth. And we're not going to touch base on that, and that's definitely on a more, on kind of a further point with your e-commerce site than right now. But hopefully you do get kind of a good idea of the different key things that you should be factoring in when you're just even thinking about building an e-commerce website. If you need any help, any questions, anything else like that, listen, I always said consultations are free. It's written on the site. Feel free to head over to rapidpurple.com, hit the contact form, or shoot me a phone call, an email. I'll put links down below to all these things. I'll be more than happy to kind of, answer any questions you have, give you a quick walkthrough, see how I can help you out, or maybe even build out your whole e-commerce website for you. So thanks for watching. Any questions, again, touch base with me, contact me on the site, post a comment below. I'll be sure to get back to you.